Cochrane.
Anne has just texted me. She says, "Good morning, Alan. I cannot tell you how disappointed I am with our Minister for Health, Simon Harris. My daughter is one of the hundreds affected by the HPV vaccine. She's been sick for more than 5 years, has missed most of secondary school and has no idea what the future may hold. Up to 400 young girls across Ireland claim they have experienced chronic side effects as a result of the cervical cancer vaccine. And yesterday, Minister Harris is quoted as saying that doctors need to come out fighting and take on the scaremongers who are passing on uninformed nonsense about the vaccine which protects against cervical cancer." We're going to look at this in detail for the next 20 minutes or so, and I'm joined by Valerie from New Ross, who has a daughter in her late teens who suffers with the chronic symptoms since the vaccination. Good morning to Valerie.
Good morning, Alan.
Let's just remind people again what a HPV vaccine is for. What is it for?
The HPV vaccine was a vaccine that was fast-tracked in 2006 in the USA, and it was promoted. We were told here it was a vaccine as a cure for cervical cancer, which wasn't really the fact at all. It's the HPV virus. The vaccine protects against 4 strains of the HPV virus. So there is about 100 different strains, and of those, about 15 can go on over a period of 15 to 20 years to cause cancer. Now, the vast majority of the HPV infections, 95% of them resolve within 2 years with any treatment at all. And maybe fewer than 1% are likely to progress over the next 15 or 20 years to a cancer which can be picked up through the regular pap smears and that women are advised to go for. And it also depends on lifestyle factors that can, affect that. The long-term use of the pill, multiple sexual partners, smoking, immune suppression, poor diet, which, so it all depends on your lifestyle as well,
Yeah. You're living with this because you've a daughter in her late teens who suffers with this. What's the story there?
Yes, my daughter received the vaccine in 2010 and 11. It was a 3-dose vaccine back then. Now it has been altered to 2 doses. And she received it at 13. We got the consent form home from the school. She was one of the first groups in Ireland to have it, so we wouldn't have had any hearsay from anybody else or any knowledge about it, only what we were given by the HSE, which was very minimal. And I have a nursing background, and regretfully, I have to say, I trusted that our HSE and our immunisation board were giving us the full facts, because that's what we do. We do trust our doctors. But we only got a list of maybe 4 or 5 side effects with this, and it was promoted as a cure for cancer. Mm-hmm. And I didn't really see much beyond that. I had no reason to kind of doubt them, really. We weren't given the information leaflet that comes with the drug manufacturer issues, an patient information leaflet that comes with all drugs.
Right.
And we didn't get that,
OK, into the equation then comes a statement attributed to Minister Simon Harris. We know we have a problem with those who wish to scaremonger and misinform when it comes to vaccination. As doctors, speaking to the doctors, he says you have an extremely important role in reassuring parents by providing clear and accurate information on the benefits of vaccination. Let's come out fighting. Let's take on the scaremongers. Let's tell people in no uncertain terms that it is you, the doctors, who are the experts and the people who are most trusted to know what is best for our people's health and well-being, young and old. Why would Simon Harris, as Minister of Health, make such a strong statement unless he was assured or confident that he could stand over it?
Well, if he is so assured and he can stand over it, we have made repeated attempts to look for this information, needed to be supplied to all the schools, to everybody before they sign consent. And if they're so sure it's safe, why are they so reluctant to provide this? It's a basic right when you give consent to give informed consent, not with partial information. And there's obviously risks with every medical procedure and every product. You can't 100% stand over anything. And that's not to say that it doesn't work for a large number of people. It's like any drug. But I cannot understand why we're being attacked, and young girls attacked, never mind parents. I can't tell you how distressed we were when we heard and saw all the remarks on the paper, because it's like a slap in the face to be told that it's in your head. That's one of the things my daughter would have said. I mean, her symptoms, they're ongoing. We're 6 or 7 years on down the line. Ongoing headaches, pains in her neck, back pain, weakness in her muscles.
And how long did this start? When did this start to manifest itself after she was given the treatment? Yes.
No, I didn't know what it was at the time. After the second injection, I noticed that she was getting headaches, kind of frequent headaches, but we wouldn't be people to rush to the doctor, just gave her some medication, and they persisted. So I brought her, and I was told to get her eyes checked. Her eyes were fine, and then she started getting frequent sore throats, swelling in her neck, and tiredness, but not extreme tiredness or anything. She used to take part. She used to cycle and do a lot of karate and that, and she gave them up. She wasn't really able for it. And she started becoming, she could no longer eat the same foods that she could. She used to get terrible pains in her stomach. She got, and then she went on over the next year. She got cysts on her ovaries. She was in hospital twice and had surgery for them. She had really cold hands and feet. She wears her coat in the house all the time.
Even still?
Yes.
Yeah.
Pins and needles in her arms and legs. Chest pain, palpitations, as if she was having a heart attack. We actually rushed her off to hospital by ambulance once. Right. Dizziness. She has lost, I'd say a third of her hair. It's fallen out, her whole volume of hair. She had beautiful long hair. Right. She last year, 6 years on, she stood up in college. She's actually made it to college, and she was paralysed from the knees down. She couldn't walk. She couldn't feel her legs. And I mean, this is that far down the line. Chronic headaches.
And do you firmly believe it's because of this vaccine? The question is, can you prove it, Valerie?
There's nothing else. I mean, she was very well. There isn't anything else in our family. None of us have any autoimmune disorders. There isn't anything else that I can relate it to. That's the only thing.
Yeah.
The only thing. I mean, it's had a terrible impact on their mental health as well, because to be told to go to doctors, and that's the one thing with Mr. Harris. He said, anyone has a problem, you go to your GP. Well, we went to our GP, and our GP refused to send us to consultants. He more or less told my daughter that she was imagining it, that it would settle down. It would go away when her leaving cert is over. You will be better in 6 months. There is a program of occupational therapy and physio. Do that, and when your exam's over, you'll be better. Well, she wasn't. Right. And I had to beg for referrals to rheumatologists, neurologists, ENT specialists. We did everything that was advised by us, but I had to fight for all those referrals myself.
Will you stay with me for a second, because I want to bring in Sean Wynne from the Teachers Union of Ireland. You've succeeded, Sean, in passing a motion by the union to suspend vaccines pending a full review. Why have you taken this course of action?
Well, Alan, just as that lady there, Valerie, has been outlining, there's issues the length and breadth of this country where the vaccination takes place. And remember, vaccinations always took place in schools, either in primary schools or second level schools. But, there's a noticeable difference since the introduction of the HPV vaccine around 2011. And, just as outlined there by Valerie, the issue of who exactly is responsible. The vaccination takes place in the school, and after the vaccination, after the half hour, there's a circular letter issued by the Department of Education to boards of management and principals in relation to the operation of the vaccine 0053. So it's actually, there's protocols in place. But the issue remains is if a girl suddenly has issues around whatever it is, and the school contacts the parents or contacts the GP, it would be far smoother. And this is the reason why the TUI, where I went to our local branch to put forward the motion, got permission to put the motion, and eventually ended up on the floor of Congress, is that there needs to be a lot of joined up thinking. And what I mean by that, I believe there's big gaps in the whole system where, for instance, a girl presents herself with difficulties and then has to go to the GP, and the GP wasn't directly involved, didn't know that the girl was getting the vaccine, and the family history that underlines that, and not only the girl's history, but the family's history. Is there issues that needed to be taken into consideration? So these are the operational issues that needs to be, and we have contacted this being the TUI, the ASTI, to see what's their position, because, it is a national issue that needs to be addressed.
All right, I'm going to take a short break, and I'm going to thank you, Valerie, for joining me and sharing your story, and you, Sean, for sharing the TUI's view on this as well, because I have to take a short break. When I come back, we're going to be talking to Rebecca, who's in a wheelchair as a result of the condition, a young girl, and her mum, Yvonne. So stay on this topic and keep those comments coming in on 053 914 5222, or text us on 087 3737 956. More on the HPV vaccine and the reaction to it after this break. Now, we are getting loads and loads of comments on this particular issue. You can keep them coming in because we will revisit and mention those comments throughout the course of the second hour of the programme as well. Just before I move to my next guest, read this one in from Una. She says, I may miss most of this as I have to bring my 18-year-old daughter for yet another medical appointment. She too is chronically ill because of the vaccine. Her entire teenage years stolen. No idea what the future holds. Recent comments by the Minister for the Health are so disgusting. I mailed him on Sunday, but not even an acknowledgement yet. The USA have paid out $6 million in compensation to Gardasil victims. Japan have withdrawn it from their vaccination programme. A judge in Spain has ruled it is linked to a girl's death only last week. Clusters of symptoms, all the same in affected girls. Too many to be a coincidence. My daughter is so upset by the Minister's comments. That comes from Una. Also upset by the Minister's comments is Rebecca, who joins me now. Good morning to Rebecca.
Hi, good morning.
Rebecca, tell us your story.
Well, I've been sick since I was 13. After I got the vaccine, I actually got sick the weekend after the first one, but since we weren't given the right information, I got 2 more. So obviously my body reacted badly to those as well.
And can I stop you for a second, Rebecca? Before you had the vaccine, how healthy were you? I
was healthy. I would do all different sports like tag rugby, basketball. I had a little bit of asthma, but that was about it. I mean, it wasn't like I had asthma, but it wasn't like enough to like bother me, you know, but that was my medical history, kind of asthma, and that was it.
You sound like you're in pain this morning as we're speaking to you. Are you in pain?
Yeah, I mean, like, I have so many chronic illnesses at this point. I am in constant chronic pain, and then all the emotional stuff over the weekend has kind of, you know, affected me, and it will take me a few days to kind of justify what the health minister did and what he said about us, because I can't find reasons for it right now. So everything's a little bit heightened as of late.
You have the airways of Southeast Radio, and I mean, I will forward this on, a copy of what you're saying to me. I promise you I will forward this to his press office directly after this show. That this much I give you, my word. So what do you want to say? You can address him on the airwaves of Southeast Radio. You're very annoyed and very upset by comments attributed to him yesterday. So you have the airwaves of Southeast Radio. What do you want to say?
I basically want to say you can't ignore a growing problem. What you have to do is nip it in the bud. You need to find out what's wrong, find out why girls are reacting. It's not fair to ruin girls' lives for a vaccine program. You know, it's not fair. If he was sick from something, he would want to get better. And seeing as he's telling doctors to tell teenage girls who are going through enough that it's all in their heads, like, it's disgusting. And who is he to give medical advice? He isn't educated in the medical field, although he's the Minister for Health. He's calling kids disgusting and families who just want them to get better. Like, I'm almost 17. I've been sick since I was 13. This is how long my parents have been dealing with this. And my siblings have been dealing with this. Like, how to explain to a 4-year-old why she can't hug me? It's just, it gets to a point where it's kind of funny that they find it okay. Like, if they had said to us, look, we'll look into it, we'll have an investigation like Denmark, we'll see why we have clusters of illnesses among teenage girls that wasn't there before, like, I would be happy. If they withdraw it for a little while to see what's going on, I would be happy with that, because more girls are just going to get sick, and the sick girls are going to get sicker the longer they're in denial, and it's just ruining kids' lives.
Look, I'm really sorry. I don't intend to upset you this morning, but I just feel that I read your letter in detail, and I felt it was most important, rather than me read out what you say, for you to say it. Now that you have those airwaves, say it again. I mean, make that point, because the point you're making is very strong. You firmly believe 100% that what has caused your illness is the administration of this vaccine.
I mean, all of my doctors believe it as well. It's not just us deciding this. All the doctors I've seen has kind of gone, there's a problem with this, but we don't know what to do. We haven't been told how to deal with it. We told this doesn't exist. But evidently it does, because they've seen many, many girls with the same exact symptoms as me, and which are on the PIL. Which, I mean, logically speaking, if a group of girls get sick after something, usually it's that thing making them sick. You know, it's just logic. I don't see how a grown man can call kids names repeatedly and try and deny them the right to get better, right, because he wants a vaccine program that has been withdrawn in different countries.
I promise you, Rebecca, and I can't promise you very much, but I promise you I will download what you've just said, and I will forward it to Minister Paul Keogh here in Wexford, and I will also forward it directly to the press office of the Minister for Health. I don't know what sort of response we get from it, but the response we get, our phone and text lines are going ballistic on this issue this morning. Your mum is beside you, is she, Rebecca? Is your mum beside you, Yvonne? Is she there?
Good morning, Alan.
Good morning, Yvonne. Look, I don't want to be sort of the devil's advocate on this, but I just want to quote a survey that was done in Canada about this to kind of give a contrasting view. It says out of 528,000 doses of HPV vaccine, there were 198 adverse effects. That's 0.94%. Out of the 196,000 girls and women vaccinated, 192 reported adverse effects. That's 0.1%. And therefore, 4 out of 196,000 vaccinated individuals experienced a serious side effect. That's 0.02%. Now, this is done by the journal.ie in response to issues raised by the group that has brought this to our attention this morning. So that's a contrasting view. Agree or disagree with it?
Well, look, what we're seeing here in Ireland is about 1 in 500 girls are getting sick. Right. And we know that not every vaccine is 100% safe. So therefore, why is it okay for our minister to ignore the percentage of girls that are sick? On one hand, they're saying it's a cure for cancer and it's completely safe. And then on the other hand, we're hearing this vaccination, no vaccine is 100% safe. What is in place for our children that have become sick? Just because it in figures might sound really small, it's not really small in my house. This is a huge problem, and it's a huge problem for hundreds and hundreds of families. They like to bat around these figures so that it makes it look like, okay, it's only one child here and there. I'll tell you, when I walk out into the community now, this problem is everywhere. When you bump into people that go, oh yeah, I heard of a girl in such a town. Oh, I've heard of another teenage girl. Before this vaccine came into this country, I don't know many families that would tell you that they knew lots of teenage girls that had to drop out of school or struggle on a daily basis, day after day. Right. And I find it disturbing to hear the minister coming out to tell our doctors to go against our children when they're trying to have their voice heard. And as you can hear from Rebecca feels abandoned by the state. Rebecca has been left in her bed for 3 years with us searching in the dark for a cure or for help. And that's echoed throughout this country. So whilst we throw around figures and they may seem insignificant, they're not insignificant when it knocks on your door.
Right, as I said to Rebecca, and I give you my word, we'll follow up on this as best we can and try and get a response. It could be tomorrow before we get a response from the HSE and also from the Minister's Department themselves. We will contact Minister here, Paul Keogh, and get his reaction on it as well and pass on the information to him. But as I said, a lot of this information is coming to light in such detail to us today. I want to thank you, Yvonne, and also Rebecca and all the other Valerie and also Sean who joined us this morning for sharing your view. We'll follow up on it and keep those comments coming in. More in the morning mix just after 11.
South Northeast Radio's morning mix. Alan Corcoran. Chat, news, and your views.
Your comments more than welcome. And still on that issue we discussed there about the HPV vaccine, we'll try and get a response from the health authorities as well on this for you tomorrow. And as I said, I will forward on a copy of Rebecca's heartbreaking interview to the Minister, to his press office, and also to our own Minister Paul Keogh, and also Deputy Michael Darcy, who are both in government as we speak at the moment, to try and gauge their reaction on it as well. Mick says, Alan, like many of your other listeners, I'm sitting here gutted and with tears in my eyes listening to Rebecca. I have 3 children and my daughter is one of the lucky ones, having also received the vaccine. The Minister for Health needs to own up to this and deal with the problem responsibly. His behaviour in showing nothing but arrogance and damned incompetence is far from acceptable. Everything with this government seems to be nothing but a big joke. How in the name of God do we end up with such a crowd of dopes running our health service and country? That's a very strong view expressed by Mick. Agree or disagree? Let us know. Also, another listener says their daughter was offered the vaccine in the New Ross area yesterday. My daughter did not get it, thank God. We were offered the chance again to get the vaccine in case we changed our mind. They said it was safe. Thalidomide was also safe, says this listener, and look what that did. Look, your views are welcome, and we want to get all views in this. And as I said, we will try and get a response as a follow-up to this from the HSE tomorrow to see how safe the vaccine is, by their reckoning, to give all sides an opportunity to air their views. But your views are more than welcome. 053 914 5222. Mick says, Alan, like many of your other listeners, I'm sitting here gutted and with tears in my eyes listening to Rebecca. I have 3 children and my daughter is one of the lucky ones, having also received the vaccine. The Minister for Health needs to own up to this and deal with the problem responsibly. His behaviour in showing nothing but arrogance and damned incompetence is far from acceptable. Everything with this government seems to be nothing but a big joke. How in the name of God do we end up with such a crowd of dopes running our health service and country? That's a very strong view expressed by Mick. Agree or disagree? Let us know. Also, another listener says their daughter was offered the vaccine in the New Ross area yesterday. My daughter did not get it, thank God. We were offered the chance again to get the vaccine in case we changed our mind. They said it was safe. Thalidomide was also safe, says this listener, and look what that did. Look, your views are welcome, and we want to get all views in this. And as I said, we will try and get a response as a follow-up to this from the HSE tomorrow to see how safe the vaccine is, by their reckoning, to give all sides an opportunity to air their views. But your views are more than welcome. 053 914 5222.